I need to tell you about a bathroom. Not just any bathroom, a shelter bathroom. I was 16 years old, had 2 kids, and I was standing in front of a mirror that had been scratched so many times you could barely see your own reflection. And I remember thinking, this is rock bottom. This is what happens to girls like me. Girls who grew up in foster care. Girls who got pregnant too young. Girls society already wrote off. I could believe what everyone thought about me, or I could prove them all wrong. I chose wrong. Not because I was brave, but because I was angry. And that anger became my fuel. And here's what nobody tells you about climbing out of rock bottom. You don't just climb, you claw. Every inch, every step, every small win is visible to everyone because you don't have the privilege of privacy when you're poor. And that feeling of finally having something that couldn't be taken away, that's what drives everything I build now. And those skills, the ones I learned by trying to survive, those became my business foundation. Because when you grow up with nothing, you learn what actually matters. And it's not credentials, it's not pedigree. It's whether you can solve real problems for real people, okay? Whether you can build trust, whether you can make someone feel seen. The salon was the first thing I've ever built. Saved every penny, taught myself business from library books because I couldn't afford the courses, piecing together my business plan, opened it on prayer and determination. And it worked, not overnight, not easily, but it worked. If you can make it work, you can make it work again. The principles don't change, just the medium. But I thought it would hurt my credibility if I started talking about my past. Started posting polished professional content that sounded like everyone else and nobody freaking cared. And I lost that online. I was performing, trying to be someone I thought I should be instead of who I actually was. Not the polished version, the real one. And the moment I started being real again, everything changed. I posted something vulnerable about my past, about the shelter, about being a teen mom, about building my salon while everyone doubted me. And I realized something profound. My scars weren't liabilities. They were my credentials. They were looking for someone possible. Someone who proved that starting with nothing doesn't mean you end with nothing. That your past doesn't determine your future unless you let it. That's when AI became my co-author, my partner. Every breakthrough, every breakdown, every moment that shaped who I am. And I fed it to AI. And it's helped me tell the story. Which parts would build the kind of trust that turned strangers into clients? And then it helped me tell my story 30 different ways without diluting it, without losing my voice, without me having to manually relive the trauma every single time. Your transformation story doesn't change. You live it once, but the way you tell it can shift to reach different people at different stages. And AI helps me meet people where they are with the exact message that they need in that moment. And when they land on my page and hear my story, something clicks. Not because I have all the answers, but because I prove it's possible. And that's what builds movement. Not tactics, not strategies, proof. Living, breathing proof that someone who started where you are made it to where you want to be. What if the thing you think you should hide is exactly what your people need to see? What if your biggest failure is actually your biggest asset? What if the reason you haven't broken through is because you're trying to be someone else instead of being more you, being me, not trying to be like the successful people I saw online and on the algorithms, but doubling down on what made me different, what made me recognizable to my people. They were looking for possible, and I became the proof.